morning. Good morning. Good morning. So welcome everybody to Home Staging Talk Show Live. This is Jenny Norris. I am the host of this weekly show that has a conversation about the home staging industry, and special guests we'll have on that talk about different challenges we might be facing, or events we might want to attend, or just solutions for business and success in general. So it is a weekly segment, and we ask you to join the conversation and share this when you tune in, share this with everybody on your page and so forth. If you are tuning in right now, if you could let me know that you see me, that would be great. I'm not seeing anybody chatting yet, so I'll wait to see if we get any engagement. So hello, everybody. Home Staging Talk Show Live is brought to you by the International Association of Home Staging Professionals, IAHSP, of which I am the chairwoman, and I'm excited to be able to share with you today some important and exciting updates. So good. Hi, guys. So everybody's letting me know you can see me, so thank you. So again, it's Jenny Norris, Home Staging Talk Show Live, and we're going to talk about statistics today, which I'm really excited. So before we go, so just some quick announcements. We have our conference coming up at the end of September, and our keynote speakers here. We've got our business keynote, Chris Widener, our marketing keynote, who we heard from last week. So if you missed that segment, you definitely want to watch it, with Johnny Fowler. And Chris was on a few weeks prior to that, and his segment was awesome as well. And then Ravi will be our cultural diversity expert keynote speaker, and that's our designation we're issuing this year. And so he also has been on the show, and so you can get to know them by looking at past segments, but we're really excited to have them. And we are still working on logistics, and hoping that we'll be able to do a live event. That is the goal and the plan. So as soon as we have any updated information, we will certainly let everybody know. But it's going to be September 25th, 26th, 27th, no matter whether it's live or possibly virtual, depending on state of Colorado, allowing us to have large gatherings, which I'm really hoping that they allow that. So make sure to join us. Of course, it's in Denver. Very excited. So Denver, beautiful Mile High City. So we're really looking forward to having everybody come to headquarters. And then we want to make sure that you know about various education offerings that we have. The short-term rental specialist, there was a live course taught on last week, and so Amy Powers will be doing another one on May 21st, plus we have the recorded version available. You can register right now to get the designation, and then there will be a live recording, another one that we'll start promoting for the 21st. And we also have other education. You can get your color and design principles for stagers. If you're an IHOSP member, you get special pricing. And I've registered for this. I just need to take the time to get it done. So it is all online. There's 10 different modules. And of course, the content is going to be excellent because it's taught by Joanne Leonard-Weary and Sandra Race. So make sure to register for that. Other educational opportunities that have some special pricing right now. We've got your luxury home staging specialist, your buyer trends specialist, and your investor staging consultant. These are all designations you can earn, and now's a good time to do that because you have some time at home. So make sure to get registered for those. Hey, Betty. Let's see here. Our advanced stager training will also take place the 2 days following conference, and whether that's live or virtual. And we do have a lot of really great speakers we'll have lined up for that, so you'll be hearing more about that soon. That's for 6-figure and above staging business owners. So if you're not quite there yet, but you believe you'll be there by the end of September, then by all means, plan to register for this. It's more of a workshop style intensive where there's a lot of collaboration and idea sharing amongst top business owners. And there's a lot that can be shared and benefited by, talking about challenges somebody might be having or solutions somebody has in their business that you can benefit from. So that'll be the 28th and 29th of September. Let's see here. Okay, let's show this. So Barb Schwartz will be doing a special webinar on May 22nd, How to Thrive in Challenging Times. And so we'll be releasing that for people to sign up. There's will be a limited number of spots available, so it will be first come, first serve, and there's no charge, of course, for this webinar. It's open to everybody. So in IHOSP and so forth. So we'll make sure to get the information out to you so you can register for that and secure your spot. But that will be May 22nd from 9:30 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure to make a note of the time zone. And we did this on purpose, so it's early enough that everybody in the US and Canada can attend, but also over in Europe, it'll be your evening time, so you'll be able to take advantage of this. Hey, Janice, how are you? Good to see your name. Okay, I think it's everything for announcements. I just want to remind everybody this is sort of our theme until we get through all of this, not letting fear hold us back. And fear, the two definitions here, fear has two meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise, and the choice is ours, and it really is. So not letting ourselves get paralyzed by fear, or because we can't predict the future. We have to live in the moment and put in action and activity now that will impact our future. So I'm not an advocate of just sitting back and watching life happen. You need to be proactive, but there's a lot of things that we just won't be able to control. And one of them is how this whole virus thing will be lifted and when that'll happen. And so we just keep adjusting and pivoting and, you know, making changes we need to in order to continue to be viable and to thrive. And that's an intentional word versus survive. So look up the definitions of those sometime. I might do that for next week, but very telling. So thriving is very much more of a positive take on things versus just surviving, making it through a tough time. So don't let fear hold us back. And fear, of course, is an emotion that comes when it's things that we don't know about and we're concerned about. So we get afraid. And so it's also false evidence appearing real is a definition a lot of us have learned through the years. And so once you identify it and can put a plan of action together to possibly deal with the situation, you don't have to be afraid of it anymore. So face everything and rise, or forget everything and run. And I challenge, I would think that most people in our industry are going to be in the second half here. We're entrepreneurs, we're risk takers. This industry is not going anywhere. It survived other, challenging times, and people thrived through the last March. Shared on one of our calls that this is not a recession that was created by bad economy. This was, strictly because of this whole virus. Companies were thriving. Our growth was at a 2% to 3% growth for the country, which is excellent. And so this was a temporary situation. And all the companies that have had to temporarily shut down. I know there will be some that may not be able to reopen, but by and large, the majority will reopen. People will get their jobs back. And of course, the whole thing that unemployment is a motivator to stay not working. And I know there's a limit to how long somebody can stay on unemployment, but certain states, you earn, there's a lot of money being paid out for unemployment for some of these states where they can earn a pretty good wage by not working. So that needs to be fixed, in my opinion. There's viable jobs for people. They can get their jobs back. And so I'm hearing this rumblings, but it'll all work itself out. Companies will resume. And so again, this was a temporary situation, and it has been, scary for a lot of people. And I know, there's been a lot of deaths and so forth. And so I don't want to marginalize or minimalize what's going on, but we can't let that define us and our future and our ability to succeed and to do what we love. So face everything and rise. And if you need some encouragement in the area, boy, there's a lot of people that are sharing motivational talks and so forth that'll help you get through that. And that's one of the intentions of Barb's talk on the 22nd. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the statistics. So I have my screen share here. Let's see if this will work. I've never done my screen share with this before. So share. I'm going to do this. Bear with me just for a moment. Show and stream. Okay. Then I'm going to do this. I'm going to shrink myself. There we go. Okay, but now I got to do something else here. I got to grab the file. Let's see, oh, here it is. Okay, good. It's going to shrink it. I'm doing an overlay so you guys can see it, but I can also see and scroll. So let's just fix this. So we have home staging industry, the statistics for the home staging industry, which I'm going to go ahead and present right now. I'm not able to see comments here, so I just moved it over. All right. By the way, Janice, yeah, in Colorado, we've applied for unemployment, a couple of the kids, but nobody's gotten anything yet. So they haven't paid it, even though they qualified for it. So no money's actually come in, which I think that's very unfortunate that they're so slow in dispersing the money that people have been owed since April. So that also needs to be fixed. A lot of the states are like that. So, all right, well, let's talk about home staging industry statistics. And I'm going to try to shrink this down. Let's see, 75%. Okay, there we go. That works a little bit better. Okay, so as you hopefully know, let me move this. Sorry, I'm going to get rid of this thing here. I'm going to hide this. There we go. All right, so now I think I'm set. So as you guys hopefully know, we had polled our members and just industry people in general to get statistics. And statistics are super important for our industry. And so you not only want to be tracking statistics for your own business, you also want to be participating in group statistics that we provide. So when we have an opportunity to provide your numbers to a collaborative group of numbers, please always do that. We don't ever reveal the information. It is confidential. So it doesn't matter if you're newer or seasoned. We're not judging anybody. We just need the data. And then the data then allows us to put things together to help promote our industry and the benefit of staging to our end users. And so these statistics really are geared towards the realtors and the sellers and the investors and the builders who want information about staging and why they should do it. So the stats are staging specific. And what will really be important is the dollar amount fees charged for staging are realistic. Yay! So you'll see that. So I want to thank everybody who did send in your stats. We had a great sampling numbers. So here we go. And this is a 32 or 32-page document. And it will be made available. And then there's also some graphics. I've created a couple of infographics you'll see. And I'll continue to do some other special graphics that have certain things pulled out of the stats that you guys can use for marketing. So here we go. So it starts off with an overview about the statistics and how we've been tracking these for a long time with our industry and with our association. So the first stats actually were traced back to 2003, and yours truly actually put spreadsheets together and had people sending in their statistics from all over the country. And that's when we started tracing and tracking our stats, and we put bar graphs and so forth together. Hey, Jennifer. And so it goes back to that time frame. And so that what's included in this summary is information on the experience and number of years in business for stagers, the impact of staging on the real estate industry, whether that's days on market or price for the property and when it goes under contract and so forth, the types of properties that are staged, the price of the properties that are staged, the price points, the average investment to stage a vacant property, the average investment for staging consultation. They should be separated, right? That data, because they're very different services. The impact staging has on days on market. There's infographics on staging impact, and then the benefits for real estate agents. There's some information that specifically targets them. So here we go with the overview. First of all, this is important. In our survey, we want to make sure that we point out the impact staging has on the industry in general. So there's an estimated fewer than 10,000 professional stagers in the world. And so if you think about that, we're a little microcosm of the real estate industry. So that equates to approximately 1% of realtors, and realtors are in North America, but they're also worldwide. So there's about 1.4-ish million realtors, 1.1, 1.4, depending on what you count. And then real estate agents are about double that. So we comprise conservatively, and we could even be a smaller subset of this, 1% of the realtors and then 0.5% of licensed real estate agents just in the US alone. We are a microcosm of the industry. Hey, Kat. In 2019, an estimated 5 million properties were bought and sold in the US. And that statistic comes directly from us attending Inman, where they announced that number from Stage. And I made a note of that. And I talked about this the other week, that there were over 1 billion leads generated by these CRMs, but only 5 million transactions. And so when I start doing the math in my head, I'm like, okay, what I know about our staging industry, about 20% of those properties were staged, either a consultation, a hands-on, or a vacant property that was staged. So that's 1 million of these properties. So we impacted 20% of the market, and yet we comprise less than 1% of the agents out there. And what's the point of all this? So we interacted with 20% of listing agents, 20% of the buyer's agents, 20% of the sellers, 20% of the buyers. These could be investors and builders as well for the sellers. So that is a huge impact, and to me that deserves to be recognized. So our industry is stopped being what I call marginalized, meaning not even identified on the radar with an issue situation like we have with COVID, where what industries are viable, what industries are necessary. We didn't even get listed, but photography was listed and video people were listed and title and lenders. And of course they're involved in all the transactions, but staging needs to get its due. So that is our goal, is to really get this into the hands of the people that are influencing the realtors and the other industry people that use us. So whether it's investor groups, NAR, Inman, any of these publications and groups that have influence, this is where this information is going to be sent. We had about 100,000 approximate properties represented in our survey from the stagers that turn things in. So number of years in business, you can see here is the pie charts and so forth were generated by the survey generated automatically. So I didn't have to put these together. So these are based on the numbers. So 45% of respondents were fairly new, 0 to 5 years. So our industry, just like others, has people coming in and there's people that leave. And then it shows here 18% were old timers. So those are those of us that have 12 to 15 years or more experience in staging. And so actually it'd be about 25% that would be 12 years or above, because 16 years were 7.5% was 16 years or more. So there's about a quarter of the respondents were the people that have been doing this a really long time, and then about 14% in the middle, and then the new people. So we had a nice mix of representation. And I do put in here as a consumer, it's important to ask what experience the home stager has and what groups they belong to and their credentials, because I do believe that's vital for success. So again, here's the impact on the real estate industry and staging. So we here estimated 10,000. We have number of households staged was 1 million, number of buyers impacted 1 million, number of sellers impacted 1 million, number of realtors 1.4 total, and the number of real estate agents 2.2. So the number of houses staged was 5 million. So this kind of shows that we didn't even have, like in that actual pie chart, the number 10,000 is so small compared to the other numbers, the million, 5 million, 2.4. It didn't even have its own little sliver. So I had to add a little thing in because I couldn't even see it. So again, just showing that we are not a huge number of people, but we make a big impact on the properties that are sold every year. Okay, so here's the breakdown. The median home price nationwide is $247,000. I got that from a statistic, Business Insider from April 2020. So that's a recent stat. The properties that were staged in the survey ranged from 100,000 to 2.5 million or more that were reflected in the survey. You can see here that 40% of the properties were between the 350 and 500K mark. So for a lot of our markets, that's kind of the median. Like here in Denver, that's kind of the 350, sort of the middle to 5. So it's not considered necessarily a high end, but not a lower price property. In some of your markets, that might be a higher end property. So interestingly, 40% in the 350 to 500, 22% were 500 to 750. So that's a higher end property. 22% 750 to 950. Only 25% were 100 to 350. So what you would consider the lower price properties, and then 21% were over $1 million. So we're doing pretty well with the higher end properties. I see this number here, just of the numbers that were turned in. It's important that we make sure that every client knows that every house deserves to look at best before it goes on the market. So every house deserves to look its best before being listed for sale, not just the higher priced ones. So one of the things coming out of this is we need to maybe do some better education on those people that have the lower end properties. Hi, Jenny. So the lower price properties, they probably think, well, they're going to sell fast because they're this certain price point that's very affordable. But then the question to ask that client is, don't leave money on the table. You wouldn't want to do that, would you? Because a staged property will always sell for more than one that's not staged, even in a hot market, and especially in a hot market. So they can get more than list. So I thought that statistic was interesting. Okay, so how would you define your market? So most of the stagers, 65 to almost 66%, said it's a correcting market. The market has slowed, lower price points sell quickly, and higher priced properties sit longer. So again, that may be your market, it may not be. Hot market, about 31.5% said it was a hot market, and then this little sliver here is what about less than 5% would be here, or less than 10% is slow. Houses sitting on the market. Now, of course, the virus has had an impact, and so we're going to see a temporary lull in the market in some areas, and then hopefully it will correct and get back on track. But we don't really know what to expect. But I would agree with this, the survey results here. 67% of stagers stage luxury properties. And so in the survey, so 31.5% said no, but 67% said they staged luxury properties. All right, let's talk about days on market, the impact. So from our survey, we found that average price properties were, once they were staged, sold 3 to 30 times faster than the properties that when they were not staged. So let me say that again, 3 to 30 times faster for average properties to be sold, to go under contract once they were staged. So what we did is we asked about scenarios where stagers, well, we've all experienced this, you get a call and oh, my house has been on the market and it hasn't sold. Can you give us a price for staging it? So then we go through the process and provide them an estimate and so forth. And then we get the staging and so forth. So this is the scenario. How many days was this property sitting on the market before it was staged? So you can see here, 15 days was the smallest amount to over a year was the longest. All right. So you can see there's a lot of different varying time frames here. So 15 days was the shortest to over a year. So let's take a look at these same properties once they were staged. How quickly did they go under contract? 1 to 3 days to the statistic here, more than a year, more than 8 weeks. So this is where the stat comes in, 3 to 30 times faster for a property. Once it was staged, it went under contract. So that's a huge number to motivate people that you don't want to be sitting on the market, stage it and be sold, get under contract. And then properties where they were not on the market first, the stager came in, we got it staged, then it hit the market for the first time. How many days to an accepted offer? And again, the numbers are very similar, 1 to 3 days to get under contract to over 120 days, depending on the property and the market. So very significant statistics. This statistic clearly demonstrates the impact home staging has on days on market for average properties. The stats show a house that's not staged spends 3 to 30 times the number of days on the market versus a professionally staged property. And a non-staged property in this example could be on the market 2 weeks to over a year. For properties that do not get an offer in the first month, they'll experience a price reduction. And so you can read here, the price reduction is always far more than the staging investment would have been. So 5 to 20 times is usually what the staging investment is less than the price reduction. So sellers don't save the money they don't want to spend on staging. They lose it with a lower list price or price reductions. And I kind of want to let that sink in. When somebody says, you know, oh, we don't want to spend the money on staging, we'll just test the market, and we're seeing the stats that things are sitting longer. Why would they want to do that? That seems a little foolish, or a lot foolish to me. But it's also, the longer a property sits on the market, the more likely it's going to have a price reduction. And that price reduction is going to be, you know, way more than the staging investment would have been. So we find it's anywhere from 5 to 20 times what the staging investment would have been for the property. So make sure you're sharing this with your sellers. They don't save that money, they lose it with a price reduction or a lower starting price for the property. That's what happens. For luxury properties, it's 10 to 30 times faster, the staging impact in days on market. So again, the same scenario, houses that were languishing on the market and were not staged, 15 days to 9 to 12 months sitting on the market. Same property staged, when do they go under contract? 1 to 3 days to 120 or more. So it depends again on the market and so forth. But the reduction here for these same properties from 30 to 45 days down to 3 to 7, 45 to 60 days down to 7 to 14. So it's a significant impact on days on market. And then a property that was just staged and then hit the market for the first time, how many days to an accepted offer for a luxury property? And you can see the stats here, 1 to 3 days to 120 plus, depending on the price point of the property and location. And I would say, like in our market, you know, the properties that are priced under $1 million probably sell faster, of course, than one that's at 3.7 million, because that takes a particular buyer. So their expectation that a higher priced property is going to fly off the shelf, it could happen depending on, you know, where it's located, if it's a very unique property and big in demand. But for the most part, these multi-million-dollar properties will take a little bit longer to sell, but not a year. Okay, and so again, the analysis is here for us. And then staging is an upfront investment to maximize the rate of return on the sale of the house. So that's one of my staging sayings. Staging is an upfront investment. So it's not a cost, a fee, or an expense to maximize the rate of return on the sale of the house. So you guys can feel free to use that with your clients. And if you guys have any questions, go ahead and write them down for me. Impact on price. So how does staging impact the price? Well, we know statistically that houses that are staged sell for more than ones that are not. And of course, our survey also shows that. 1 to 20% more. So this is where stagers, we need to do a better job too of making sure to follow up on our properties that are staged. Did they sell at list? Did they sell for more than list? When it was it listed at a higher price because it was staged than if it had been unstaged? Those are the questions that we need to be asking, because I'd like to be able to fold that into this part of the survey. And so it just comes with asking. And a lot of the respondents didn't know their statistics and how you get that information. You just ask the listing agent for the information. So you can ask them what the plan was. Were you going to list it at this price all along, or did you elevate the price once it was staged? In a lot of markets, they are doing that, and we call that the staged list price versus list price only. And so you want to get those numbers, because staging makes an impact for them to be able to list it at a higher price within the acceptable price range for their market. So we don't want to overprice it, but there's a price range that realtors will come up with. And so a staged property can be listed for $5,000 or $10,000 more or $40,000 more than the original plan, because it's staged and they know that they're going to get an offer because it's within the acceptable range for that property. But here you can see 1 to 20% more for a property that's staged. And so when I break out the math, that's anywhere from $5,000 to $150,000 more or more for a property when it's staged. So, and that's exciting. I mean, 1% people go, well, that's not really, who cares if it's a $5,000? Well, $5,000 to a seller, that could be then being able to pay off a bill or maybe buy a refrigerator or something. And then as you go up 10,000, 15, 20,000, it's significant. And so what we need to teach our real estate agents, and there's a marketing piece at the end of the survey that shows them that when the house sells for more, the seller's super happy, but guess what? They make more commission too. And it might be a little tiny bit of commission, $150 on 5,000, but you start adding that up over all of their listings, and it starts to become a significant number for them. But more than that, they're helping their seller net the very most in the sale of the house. So the statistics here show you the breakdown for the overpriced, the priced overlist, how much it went for. So you can see the breakdown here. And then home staging makes a measurable impact on properties for sale, no matter the price point or location, which is very true. What do you guys think so far? Any feedback? Let me know. It's hard not having a live audience. Okay. Staging consultations. So we have a category in here. We're defining what a staging consultation is versus a hands-on and a vacant staging. So staging consultations, we give the definition here. It's a service provided by professional home stagers where specific recommendations are provided to homeowners. And, please give me feedback. I'm feeling sort of lonely here. So just say yay or do a thumbs up or something. I'm like asking for feedback. Consultations are provided most often on occupied properties and can also be provided for remodeling recommendations, interior and exterior colors, and in any other specifics a property owner needs. So that's important to have that in there, because we don't want to limit ourselves saying we only, do a consultation for occupied for sale. We can recommend a lot of things, and anytime you're giving your ideas, that's a consultation. And of course, there's various methods for how to deliver that. What is a hands-on staging? So that defines that as often provided as a follow-up to a consultation where the property owner implements most of the recommendations that they're able to, and then the professional home stager goes back to the property and finishes off the staging. This can be a lot of work or a little bit of work, depending on what the homeowner needs. The hands-on staging can include staging furnishings and decor as needed. This service is priced separately from the initial staging consultation. So, okay, good. Yay, thanks, Betty and Jennifer. Appreciate the feedback. So 95% of stagers in the surveys provide consultations. So those of you that do provide consultations and also do hands-on and vacants, you've diversified your service base, and the majority of stagers do provide these to homeowners, which is great. So the average investment in our survey, $100 to $350, which is what I would have expected based on the survey where people are located around the country. So $100 to $350 for the average investment, just for the consultation piece. And you can see the breakdown here in the pie chart. 80.4% of these consultations in the survey turn into hands-on staging. So that's important too, that if you're a stager and you're not getting that what I call a phase 2 follow-up, You need to market yourself when you're in the appointment saying, you know, one of the services we offer is we can come back and help you finish off things. We can do as little or as much as you need us to do. And we can help you rearrange furniture. We can help bring things in. We can just help you set the scene in the rooms using your things. So whatever you need, we're here for you. And because as we've all learned, people don't know what we don't tell them. So make sure you're educating your clients. You get the second piece, because the second piece, the hands-on follow-up, you're going to see how much that is priced. It can be a little bit of money or a lot of money on the back end. Types of hands-on stagings we define here using only what the homeowner has. So we have 41% of the surveys just use what the homeowner has. Using homeowner things combined with yours, 77% do that as well. And then I don't provide hands-on staging. There's about 10% that said they didn't provide hands-on staging. So the two methods is using only what the homeowner has, and then also homeowner plus your things. So if I take a look at this statistic, that's actually encouraging. 77% will provide added furnishings. And I'll just caution those of you that do this like I do, you know, we don't want to be putting things in that are going to get soiled. So I always tell people I don't provide towels or bedding, but I will shop for those to leave with the homeowner, and they'll pay for those. But then we'll bring in accessories and artwork and oftentimes furniture as well, as long as the homeowner is going to take care of it. And of course, we have all the protections in our agreements that if we come back and things have gotten soiled or been abused, they'll be replacing those items for us. So, all right, so the investment for the hands-on staging is anywhere from an additional $250 to as much as $3,000 using the homeowner's things. So $250 to $3,000. So $250 would be just finessing what they've done, and then it can turn into a lot of added income. So again, those people that are adding this service, it's smart to market yourself with a phase 2 follow-up because it can be lucrative. So let's talk about the investment for hands-on staging where we're supplementing with our things. So this is just using the owner's things, $250 to $3,000. And then let's talk about if we're bringing our things in, the pricing ended up being the same, which I thought was interesting. So when it comes to staging, it's important to keep these things in mind. Staging adds a value to the sale and makes the property more marketable. So what I put in here is the professionals own companies to support the needs of realtors, sellers, builders, and investors are running businesses and deserve to make a profit just like everyone else involved in the sale. From lender to title rep to photographer to videographer to the listing agent to the buyer's agent to the seller, everyone makes money on the sale. So why should the stager be any different? And I put that in there because again, it's up to us educating our industry people, but why should we constantly be the ones having to lower our prices or be expected to do things for free or next to nothing when we're running businesses? So I just had an opportunity to provide pricing for a property that needs staging. And the person just told me, well, my budget's only $700. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I can't do it for that cheap. And if a stager is telling you that they're going to stage your $700,000 property for $700, I said, you're going to be getting crap, basically. Or they're just losing money on purpose. And I don't run my business that way. So it's important that we make sure that they understand we have a right to make a profit. We shouldn't feel guilty about that. And, you know, everybody else profits in the process as well. We need to as well. Staging pricing is a factor of the following: expertise, size, and location of the property. A professional stager who has more experience may charge more, but they're also faster than someone who is new. The size of the property impacts the time it takes to complete the staging, and the location of the property from the region of the country to the part of town impacts the pricing. So for example, if it's a condo and a high-rise building, that'll take longer logistically than a residential single-family home in a neighborhood. Stagers earn more in larger metropolitan areas where properties tend to cost more than in rural areas, and fees are in line with the price of the properties and the real estate industry. Logistics impact any staging project. Some stagers who run larger businesses have to hire movers, staging crew, have moving trucks and warehouses, and that's part of their cost for their staging properties, and it's an investment for the stager and income stream for them. The furnishings are carefully created for the type of property, or curated, excuse me, for the types of property staged by the company, and that's what clients pay for when they hire a professional stager. So, you know, gone are the days when, and we used to do this, I mean, you know, you'd run to Goodwill or Salvation Army, and I'm not saying you can't find some cool furniture that you could give it new life and paint it and so forth, but the days of just going and finding any old random pieces and putting them together in a grouping and saying that that's professional staging, they're gone. So people that invest in furnishings and so forth, it's a big capital outlay and they make money on that. So it's a benefit to the homeowner or the client, whoever is paying, that they don't have to go buy furniture. They don't have to go incur that because we're providing that as a service. So that's why we're paid for that. It's not a free service. And it's not stuff we just have hanging around in our living rooms that we just can't wait to go put in somebody's house. That's not what staging is, okay? It's always best to have the professional home stager provide pricing for staging a property versus misquoting the pricing or expectations to your client. So in other words, for real estate agents who are quoting pricing to their sellers saying, oh, the staging should be about X, how do they know? So either they need to get an estimate from us up front before they talk to their client, or allow us to be the ones to provide the pricing. Because we don't want to be having these agents quoting our pricing based on statistics that they're provided that are incorrect. And our profile of home staging says the average staging is $500. Now we all know that's wrong. And they pulled a bunch of different agents and they did not delineate between a consultation and a hands-on and a vacant staging or full service staging. They did not break that down. So we know that number is wrong, but that's out there. So we need to correct that. And many stagers provide additional resources and services you or your client may need. Make sure to ask about those as well as any discounts on the resources they can provide. So that would be for those of you that might provide photography. Maybe you've taken that in-house, the video. Maybe you're helping with cleaning the property, etc. So whatever you're doing to take things in-house, make sure you provide your added services, or maybe staging to live where they're moving, new homeowner move-in. So make sure people know you offer those services. And then any preferred discounts, like on moving services, Pods, Got Junk, College Hunks Hauling Junk, we have relationships with them. And then also Sherwin-Williams, our discount on paint. So make sure you're providing that as a value-added benefit of working with you. And then I couldn't resist putting this in. Lastly, good staging isn't cheap, and cheap staging isn't good. Okay, now we go into vacant properties. 92% of the home stagers stage vacant properties for sale. The size of vacant properties varied. So you can see the square footage here is kind of blurry. Let me pull this over. 0 to 1,000 square feet. So small properties represented about 5%. 1,000 to 2,000 was 27%. 2,000 to 3,000 was about 49%. 3,000 to 4,000 square feet, about 29%. 4,000 square feet, 13%. And then I don't stage vacant houses, about 9%. Hey, Vanetta. Okay, so the average investment to stage an average, so we broke it down again, average versus luxury. So the average vacant property staging pricing ranged from our survey from $1,500 to $6,000. Not $500, okay, $1,500 to $6,000. And these were all for a 30-day term. I want to clarify that. I asked people to provide a breakdown for a 30-day term, even if their standard is 45 or 60 or 90. So these numbers they provided were based on a 30-day staging inventory. And it includes the initial use fee, delivery, staging setup, and then the removal. So the luxury market, the pricing was $2,000 to $10,000 or more for a luxury staging, depending on where the property is located. So again, that's a 30-day price, and it includes the initial setup, delivery, removal, and the use of everything for 1 month. So again, not $500 or $1,000. Okay. Then I asked about who provides added recommendations for staging. So 61.8% of the stagers surveyed said they actually provide added recommendations. And these are some of the categories, the ones that were most popular: flooring, fixtures, counters, cabinetry, lighting, paint colors, hardware for the cabinets and so forth, landscaping. So we can provide added recommendations and we should be paid for that, right? That could be a consultation for updating or remodeling. And so, it should be a benefit of working with you, and you should be paid for your time to help make selections for homeowners. So a lot of investors are doing this, or homeowners that are renovating and updating. You need to ask the question, when they say I'm going to be painting and replacing the carpet, have you already made those selections? And when they say no, well, that's one of the things we specialize in. We'd be happy to advise you on what you need for these elements for the house, whatever they're doing, and that's a fee-based service. And so let me get you some pricing for that. So you'd give them a close-ended estimate of a couple hours your time, or however long you think that's going to take. But I'm excited that about 62% of stagers are doing this, because this is added income for you and me. And then we identify the priority areas to stage in a vacant property: living, dining, family, the kitchen casual dining, kitchen counters, master bedroom, baths, and outdoor areas. So we clarify staging should include the primary living areas of the house. Hey, Catherine. Other areas such as offices, finished basements, game areas, lofts, and secondary bedrooms could also be included based on budget. So there are some stages they as a standard practice, they stage the whole house. Some do key rooms. So that again is subjective, and it's all based on what your client wants to pay for and how you run your business and so forth. But for sure, the primary areas we've identified here need to be staged in properties when they have these areas. So there could be a condo and it only has a great room, a dining area, the kitchen counters, and the master. They don't have a second living area. So that wouldn't be a priority area for them. In smaller properties, there are only 3 main areas to stage. Larger properties, there could be more. And then if access to the property includes elevators, stairs, or other issues, the staging will be more than a residential delivery because the logistics are take 2 to 3 times as long to get the inventory and so forth into the property. So we charge more for that. And so you need to make sure that we're educating our clients about that. These are the infographics that I came up with. So this first one, and again, you'll have access to this. So this breaks down the 3 to 30 times faster the staging helps houses sell. Average investment for staging consultation, $150 to $350. The average investment for staging a vacant, $1,500 to $10,000. The increase in sales price, up to 20% more for staged properties versus the marketed competition. And then this second thing here is really for us to share. I would be sharing this with the end user, the client, the realtor, etc. Top areas to stage are identified. And then why would they stage? To make more money for your sellers, to earn more commission, gain more listings, and get more referrals from happy clients. So this is just one of the infographics I came up with, and we'll do more based on the stats. And they won't necessarily look like this. They might just be like a info slide with the pretty graphic and then the wording over it that you can use into your presentations or on your sites or what have you. The benefits for the real estate agent. So this is really, our primary client are the end users, the real estate agents, the investors, and the builders and so forth. And they really help drive our industry. So they need to be educated. And there's unfortunately still a lot of them out there that are like, well, the market's strong, or I don't really need to stage, or I told my client to declutter, so that's good enough, right? And so we need to do a great job educating the realtors why they need to be utilizing a professional stager. So the benefits, this is a marketing piece I came up with years ago, but it's called If you had a tool that could help your listings sell faster and for the best price, would you use it? And we need to be asking these questions of every client, every realtor. If you had a tool that could help your sellers make the most on the sale of their house, would you want to know about it? And if you had a tool that could help you make more money in commissions and get more listings, would you want to know about it? And of course, the answers are yes, yes, yes. This is sort of a no-brainer. Home staging is your proven tool for success. And when I'm doing a presentation and I've asked these questions, everybody, raises their hand. Yes, yes, a whole room, everybody agrees. Oh, yes, yes, those are obvious questions. So then the question is, then why aren't all properties staged? Right? Why isn't every house staged? When they know this is a tool that's going to help their listing sell faster for the best price, it's going to help their seller net the most in the sale, and it's going to help the agent get more listings and make more money themselves. Why isn't every property staged? And I challenge all of us to ask those questions of our agents, and you can feel free to use this wording. So the reason they want to stage is they're going to get more listings because you can use it as a key listing and marketing tool. They're going to make more money because when the house sells at a strong commission or a higher amount, they're going to make more commission on it. You're going to have happier sellers. They're going to preserve their client relationship by bringing in a third party who then works with the seller, might have to say the challenging messages that, the realtor doesn't want to be the one telling the seller to clean their house or their dogs are too hairy, and then get more referrals. So these are selling points for why realtors need to be staging and recommending staging. And why wouldn't every property be staged when yes is the answer to all 3 of these questions? Then we have top 10 benefits home staging in here. Faster sales time, reduced time on market. The best sales price, it's a better starting list price, and often sold for over list price. Don't leave money on the table. So again, you want to clarify this piece of it, because if people go, well, my house didn't sell for more if it was staged. Well, yeah, but it was listed for more than it would have been had you not staged it. So that's the number that's the missing link piece that we need to start asking our agents those questions. What would you have listed this house for if it hadn't been staged? So start maybe write that down, but that's a question that I'm going to be incorporating into my stats for the year, because that's a great number to be able to track. The professional image, staged homes look better in person and online. That's a great market differentiator for the listing agent over their competition. And it's a distinct property marketing advantage for over the unstaged competition for the property. So not only does the agent differentiate themselves from their competition to win the listing and to show that they do something different, but the house itself, the property itself, is differentiated because it's staged while its competition may not be. It's going to attract a broader range of buyers because they're more appealing than unstaged properties. Buyers view staged homes as well cared for properties, which is true. Home inspectors view staged homes as cared for properties, and appraisers are more likely to appraise staged homes at full value. And then the tax advantage, this is a big one. Staging is tax deductible as marketing or advertising under IRS publication 523, and a price reduction is just simply a loss. The sellers don't get that money back. So it's considered advertising, and there are some provisions. It can be done on a first property or even a second home as a write-off. A house needs to stage, or the property needs to be staged up to closing, just right before closing. So it can't be done for a few days or a month and then they take it off and they sit on the market for the next 6 months. That's not deductible. So there are some provisions, and that's explained in IRS publication 523. So if you're not familiar with that, you might want to download it. You can just Google it and then download that and have that. Then I put these in, how much can you earn when you stage your listings? Now, these are actually from our staging university. I came up with these 2005, 2004 is when I first started doing the math on how much more a realtor can earn when they stage their listings. So in this example, it's $56,304 more, using the NAR stats of 1 to 17% more for a house that's staged, and I went in the middle for that. And so the $247,000 median priced home at 8%, so I just went in the middle of 1 to 17, is $2,400 to $40,800 more, an average of $21,600 more that the house would sell for. And then you do the commission based on that. So at 3% of 21.6 is $648 in additional commission to that agent. And when you sell 2 to 4 homes a month at 3%, you can see the math, anywhere from almost $2,600 to almost $32,000 more for that agent. And all they've done is add staging to their current listing volume. And then other benefits, you're a full service realtor, you may not have to lower your commission, keep your reputation intact and be the agent that sells, not sits. You don't disappear from the neighborhood because the house didn't sell. And is it safe to say here their marketing costs will be reduced because the house isn't sitting on the market as long? Yes. And so we estimated about $700 per transaction. And then you can see the math breakdown. If they did 3 transactions per month, that's $2,100 per month in savings, or $25,200 per year savings. So they're either saving or earning $56,304. And then what's not in here is the listings they're going to pick up, because when somebody has success and they can turn around in their sphere and the neighborhood, they just sold a house, sold for a great price because it was staged, etc. They turn around and they market that information to more sellers and target clients and so forth, and then they become the go-to person because they get the job done, they get the results, and they can brag about that, in a not in an arrogant way, but just in a confident way that, listen, I've got a process that works. So they're going to pick up more listings, and it's not just 3% of this little piece. It's going to be 3% of the entire list price. So if it's a $500,000 property, that's another $15,000 additional income that they didn't have before, because they're going to pick up more business. And then we do the same thing for a price at $500,000 priced property. So we do the breakdown. It's going to show about $90,000 or more to the listing agent or to the realtor. So it breaks it down based on stats. Again, keeping the reputation. Why would a real estate agent, a realtor, list a property that nobody really wants to see, that's messy, dirty, cluttered? It impacts their reputation. And then ultimately, when it doesn't sell, their sign disappears from the neighborhood and someone else replaces them. And so that first agent who wasn't either keen on staging or couldn't get the sellers on board or whatever the issue was, the property didn't show well, and it reflects on the realtor. And, we're no different than any other buyer. When you look at a house and you see it's like in disarray and you're sort of shocked, you're like, I can't believe people live like this. Imagine throwing that on the market like that. It just shows the agent doesn't care and is not taking the time to properly prepare a house for sale. And I think that comes from fear, because they don't want to possibly upset the client. I think it's 100% based in fear, because I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to the realtors that they would like to have a property that looks better. And I also think some of them just don't know better. So maybe it's ignorance. So fear, they just don't know. So we need to be educating the agents that let us be the ones to tell the sellers what they need to do and work with them, because what's not in here too, which I can add, is time is money. So a realtor shouldn't be the one moving the furniture around and taking all this time with the client, because they could use that time to be more productive, to get more listings or more work with buyers. And then that's why we exist, is to be able to handhold the client and get the work done. So time is money, and they make far more listing and selling a house than they think that they're saving by not having the staging paid for. So because it's a pittance compared to the thousands they make on a commission. So that's a good selling point as well, and I can add that into the stats. And then we wrap up with just a summary about the association. Longest and largest running home staging industry trade association since 1999, etc. Education standards, excellence, and ethics. What we offer here: membership directory to find a quality stager, the wholesale buying program, etc. And that's the page 32. So that's it. So that's our statistical survey. So I'll add that one page in there, the time is money page, because I think that's a good point to make. So I can do a breakdown on that. But this will be available on our site. It'll actually be public, because I did promise that to anybody who submitted statistics, that it wasn't going to just be IHOSP in-house, but it will be put on the IHOSP site. And so the public can see the survey and download it. And then I'll be creating the graphics as well that I will be able to share with members for those. So what do you guys think? Is it exciting? You guys excited? I hope so. So again, thank you to everybody who submitted statistics. And I can't stress the importance of everybody tracking your own stats, because when you're able to contribute to an overall survey, it really is beneficial to everybody who's in the staging industry, not just one association or another. And the goal is to be able to combine stats so that we have industry representation of statistics for the entire industry. And I'm sure that any other groups that are doing surveys, their numbers are going to be very similar, because it's not a secret as far as the numbers and the benefit of staging, but it's nice to be able to quantify these for end user clients. So that is it for me for today. So if anybody has any questions before I go, you can let me know and I can answer. If not, we'll be back next week on Wednesday, our regular day. And those of you that actually tuned into Scott Hansen's webinar yesterday was really, really good. So I'm talking about the 5 different process steps to running a business and breaking that down. So if you missed that, you may want to connect with him, and because he does some great business with business owners. So he does have a requirement for people to have a certain dollar volume of business and years of experience to work with you. But anytime you can attend a webinar to get information, I think it's really valuable. So yes, and so Julie, this will be recorded. It is being recorded, and so once it is done processing it, we'll upload this to the various sites. You can actually watch this segment again. You can always see this segment at homestagingtalk.com. That's our website, and also our YouTube channel for IHOSP, our YouTube channel. These are all uploaded there as well, and they are public access, so you can watch them there. All right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll be back next Wednesday with another great segment. Bye, everybody.